While the hills rolled beneath his steps, Rishen's thoughts wandered back to Mio. Oh, this goddamn Mio, who had never laid eyes on a holy beast in her life. Rhy Shen did neither, but at least he had to work for every bit of chi he had. Mio had been spoon-fed chi since childhood, her immortality handed to her like an heirloom. She was one of them, the blessed few who never had to earn what others bled for. Her way wasn't truly wicked. It was simply what someone like her had been taught to believe was right. And she wasn't entirely wrong either. Rhy Shen knew that stealing wasn't the answer, but listening was. Doing it anyone else's way would have been unbearable. Convincing Mio to let him do this alone was easier than expected. Had she insisted on coming, he would have had to take her out of the picture for a while. A prospect neither of them would have enjoyed. On the road to the mountain range Mio called the Qilins home, Rhy Shen spent most of the journey debating whether quitting counted as wisdom or cowardice. He had to remind himself at least a dozen times that abandoning the mission completely probably wasn't heroic from any point of view.
I have been training for a moment like this all my life. My chi is bound to nature due to relentless training and fighting lessons, and my willpower is strong enough to intimidate the wolves in the woods. If anyone in this world can solve this peacefully, it's probably me.
Rhy Shen climbed the jagged slope, chi coursing through him like molten magma. He assumed the Qilin would be a bit protective at the summit. A bit. Mio had insisted they seize the egg first, strike quickly, claim the power. But every fiber of his being recoiled at the notion. He wanted to face the beast directly, meet it as an equal, and reason with it. Given the fact that the Qilin was nothing less than a god, it wasn't too far-fetched to think that it might understand.
At least, this way is far more honorable than theft, and a beast of such superiority will respect that. I am willing to risk everything to try it, before chaos unfolds.
Rhy Shen's disciplined training for the unknown finally paid off. Each movement up the mountain was precise and effortless. He scaled the harsh rock face with uncanny steadiness. Soon, he reached a series of steps embedded into the stone. Their shiny surfaces gave the impression that someone must have hammered them into the stone eons ago. Rhy Shen's steps faltered as he neared the summit, breath caught between awe and disbelief.
Unbelievable. I've never seen anything like this.
Every surface was etched with intricate carvings. The stone transformed into a sculpted cosmos, as if the mountain had been plucked from another star. In Rhy Shen's mind, the Qilin was already there, serene and knowing, perhaps holding a delicate jade cup filled with golden tea, ready to acknowledge his courage and welcome him with understanding. Walking at the top of the holy mountain felt heavenly. Snow crunched beneath Rhy Shen's boots, each step sinking deep into the flawless white, leaving jagged scars across the otherwise perfect, circular clearing. With every careless footfall, the smooth surface seemed to shudder under him, emitting a warm, healing light. The frozen surface cracked under his boots, opening more and more windows for the warm light to fill the place. On the far side of this clearing lay a vast nest, a depression in the bare rock, cradling enormous glowing eggs.
Why are there so many? I thought there'd be only one.
He scanned the horizon, searching for a sign of the Qilin. Nothing. No shape, no glimmer of life, just stone and the quiet hum of cosmic energy.
Whoa. It's so warm and quiet here. Despite the weather.
Confidence swelled in Rhy Shen. This was easy. He could take one of these eggs and leave. The almighty Qilin might not even take notice, and Mio's revolution would become a full success. Rhy Shen stepped toward the largest egg, hands outstretched. And then the air tore apart behind him without announcement. clouds collapsed into whirling towers that reached for the sky. The stars seemed to move, coalescing into a monstrous form that defied scale and reason. The Qilin emerged from the cosmos above, descending like a celestial storm.
Fuck. I had no idea.
The monstrum was colossal. Rhy Shen had expected a beast as huge as his house, or maybe as huge as the White Palace in the capital. This monstrum was bigger than the capital itself, covering the sky with its enormous face and shoulders alone. Its eyes burned with a hellish fire, antlers spanning like bridges of light, claws rending the very snow beneath its feet. The creature's roar split the air, a sound that could flatten mountains and boil rivers, shaking Rhy Shen to his core. Hell had arrived at the summit, and it was personally offended by Rhy Shen. He planted his feet firmly, chest thrust forward and shoulders squared, trying to radiate confidence. His hands were raised slightly in a gesture of peace.
I come in peace, Your Majesty. I did not intend to disturb you.
This made the Qilin even more furious. A storm of wrath erupted from the creature that bent the sky and cracked the mountain. Rhy Shen gripped one of the glowing eggs in his hands, heart hammering, and told himself a fragile truth.
I'm sure it won't strike, as long as I carry this.
His stomach dropped as he realized, if the great grandmasters didn't intervene, this was nothing less than the apocalypse incarnate. The summit shattered behind him with every beat of the beast's heart, carving a cathedral of destruction in snow and rock. Rhy Shen's breath came ragged, his mind sharp with fear and calculation. One wrong step, one misjudged motion, and everything, himself, the egg in his hands, Mio and the world, would end in fire and cosmic wrath. Rhy Shen ran until the air turned thin and sharp in his lungs. Meteors slammed into the mountain to his left. To the right, the ground split open, spitting dust and shards of stone. Behind him, the mountain groaned, a hollow, dying sound that belonged not to rock, but to something older, deeper. The world folded in on itself as if it had been nothing more than a painted shell. Peaks sank like melting wax. Valleys caved inward. Rhy Shen glanced back once, just once, and saw the Qilin's colossal shape dissolve into darkness. It didn't pursue him. It didn't have to. Whatever it had unleashed was already spreading, black veins crawling through the sky, swallowing the night until even the moonlight felt borrowed. By the time the capital's crystal spires came into view, Rhy Shen's legs were lead, and his arms still clutched the glowing orb to his chest. He almost laughed. He'd made it. Somehow, against all reason. He'd made it. Almost, at least. He didn't even get close to the capital before 6 silhouettes descended from the heavens, their robes like liquid obsidian. Sparks of their fury were crackling in the air. Gravity seemed to bow in deference as the great Grand Masters of the capital set their feet upon the earth. The foremost among them stepped forward, every movement deliberate, radiating authority, while the others lingered behind in the shadows, silent and watchful. Like a parliament of owls, their eyes fixed on him with cold scrutiny.
Do you have any idea what you've done, boy?
The first Grand Master glared at him with eyes like polished stone.
I'm so sorry, Master. I thought I could reason with the Qilin. Please, take this egg. Maybe you can still make things right. Maybe we can return it, instead of fighting the beast.
Out of nowhere, the great Grand Master raised a hand and struck the orb from Rhy Shen's hands, sending it crashing to the ground and shattering into pieces.
What the fuck are you doing? This egg was our chance to...
This isn't the egg. This is excrement. It's Qilin dung, you absolute idiot!
Rhy Shen's stomach suddenly felt like liquid steel, burning itself into his flesh. The silence that followed was profound and terrible.
You're joking.
Oh, we wish we were. The real egg is embedded in the mountain. It is the untouched summit itself. The one you so gallantly stomped on.
Rhy Shen's knees went weak. His legs threatened to buckle beneath him. Behind him, forests evaporated in flames, lakes boiled into steam, and the very horizon bended as if it had loosened its screws.
Oh, hell. I fucked it up.
Who could have guessed that something as mighty as a Qilin egg would also be so ridiculously fragile? This was hardly fair.
You've doomed us all with your filthy greed for endless qi. The Qilin is enraged. The city is collapsing. And why? Because you crossed a sacred line no living being should ever cross, Rhy Shen.
The Grand Masters exchanged a few tired, resigned glances. Above them, the white sun bled crimson, as though even the light had given up on the world, especially on Rhy Shen.
Well, we can't appease the Qilin now. Chaos reigns, and it is a matter of hours before the whole land crumbles into pieces. The world's collapsing. Any suggestions before it's too late?
The great Grand Master turned, slowly, an eyebrow arched, as if amused by the futility of it all. But his colleagues were serious.
Throw him off the edge, into the void. It won't fix anything, but it might make us feel slightly better.
The others agreed. They seized Rhy Shen by the arms, their grip like the weight of steady cliffs.
Leave me alone!
Right. If the Qilin kills us all, fine. If it doesn't, do us one favor, boy. Vanish from our sight.
The Grand Master wrote an invisible spell into the air with his fingers. An abyss opened, awaiting Rhy Shen, the traitor.
No! This is a misunderstanding. I didn't want this.
Dying is far too gentle a punishment for an idiot like you. You were destined to bring light, and all you brought over the world was shit. Literally shit. I swear to the stars. If we survive any of this, we will get back to you 1,000 years from now to give you a proper punishment.
With that, the others hurled Rhy Shen into the abyss.
And don't forget to take your pile of shit with you.
As his body and soul vanished into nothingness, spinning through smoke and shattered light, Rhy Shen couldn't help thinking that there must have been a right path he somehow missed. The last image burned into his mind was Mio's flawless, radiant face, but the expression shifted to sheer disappointment. If the void had left even a fragment of his consciousness intact, that thought alone would have undone him. Yet, mercifully, everything ended for Rhy Shen in that instant. 1,000 years in the abyss, they said. Perhaps the Grand Masters had lied, intending to leave him there for eternity. Perhaps they had all perished, missing their chance to revive him. Or perhaps, just perhaps, we will never know, for something beyond the world's reckoning had intervened, snatching Rhy Shen's fate before it could fully take or lose its form.
Holy green fuck! Well, that is bloody fantastic. Calculated madness at its finest.
The Tale of Rhy Shen, Chapter 2, Inner Callings. One could fairly argue that Bo Yang was, by all sane standards, the most unhinged alchemist in the Guild of Teal, though none would dare deny his brilliance. This was the first time Bo Yang had opened a sphere with precision, far better than the random, disturbing glitches that usually tore through Teal. Yet something about this young arrival that called himself Rhy Shen felt off. A wild spark gleamed in Bo Yang's eyes as they fixed on Rhy Shen, who could scarcely sit upright after his strange arrival in this world.
Our new arrival looks like he's made of clouds. I want to inhale him. We have the technology to inhale him without Juru Hocus Pocus, do we?
Yesod laid his forehead against his fingertips and tried to soften his temples.
Bo Yang, please behave yourself. If anything, we should kill him and transfer his Aetham life essence into charm stones. We could get hundreds of years of raw energy, or light up the entire free city for a few miserable hours.
Manic curiosity danced in Bo Yang's eyes when he heard Yesod's words.
Utterly delicious! Truly, what a tragedy it would be to waste such an opportunity to fill our charm stones.
Rhy Shen felt the weight of their gazes, as if they could see through his very bones while they kept discussing his fate. Alchemist Thos surveyed his colleagues from behind the magnified lens of his enormous round glasses.
Gentlemen, let us be reasonable. This Rhy Shen is just a child. Look how afraid he is.
Bo Yang rolled one eye in irritation.
Philosophy won't run the machines, Toss. Power does.
Toss' lips quirked into a smile, formed from amusement and calculation.
Oh, I'm aware. But why waste him, when we could send him to the Black March Forest to collect charm stones for our cause? We haven't even asked where he came from. Maybe his prior location had something to do with the fact that the sphere actually worked this time. Have you spared a thought on that, Bo Yang?
Bo Yang's behavior made no sense to Thos whatsoever. The mad alchemist had spent nearly a decade trying to coax a living being out of the countless things. Yet Thos still wasn't certain whether this Rhy Shen had arrived from anywhere at all. Finally, he turned his attention to the boy, his gaze sharpened behind the magnified lens, appraising Rhy Shen like a specimen under glass.
Can you fight, ghostly boy?
Without a second thought, Thos snatched a copper pipe from the table and hurled it straight at him.
Ah! What the?
Rhy Shen flinched and threw up his hand to shield himself, but the pipe passed cleanly through his chest and struck the floor behind him. Rhy Shen's astonishment outshone even the disbelief of the four alchemists. He reached for the piece of metal, only for his hand to pass through it, as though he were made of vapor.
Fascinating.
What? What was that?
As Rhy Shen rose, his pale aura deepened, spreading outward like ink dissolving in water. He struggled to make sense of himself or even his surroundings. Every wall of the room was a tangle of pipes and cables, all converging on the circular platform where he had appeared. Rhy Shen couldn't tell if there was even a sky here, only the tight, metallic maze surrounding him.
Is this hell? Maybe a new punishment from the Grandmasters? Are you even real?
His questions went unheard. The alchemists had already leaned together, absorbed in their own discussions, as if they were deciding what to have for lunch.
Excuse me?
Again, his voice was swallowed immediately. The four high-ranking alchemists barely noticed his frustration. Even with the speech bug in place, Rhy Shen couldn't make sense of their words. They flowed past him like indecipherable code. Every now and then, a head would rise from the circle, scanning him with suspicion before sinking back into the murmuring group.
Allow me for once to utter the obvious aloud. This arrival could become a problem.
For the first time during today's sphere opening process, Alchemist Herma spoke. In a heartbeat, the room went silent, even the tubes at the machines. When the Secretary of Safety in the Alchemist Guild used her voice, it signaled an immediate crisis. That was without question. Alchemist Yesod couldn't agree more, and took the matter seriously.
Exactly. The boy is unstable, hardly the efficient Atham worker we expected.
Yesod didn't even realize that Herma's warning had meant something entirely different. In fact, she saw the same immense potential in Rhy Shen that Thos recognized in this homunculus-like weakling. But beneath the surface, Yesod was already calculating how to erase him for good. If not stone, could fire be wielded to snuff this ghostly anomaly out of existence? Both Herma and Yesod spoke with the crisp certainty of those accustomed to precision. They had anticipated a reliable, controllable force from the sphere, not this half-formed spectral anomaly that called himself a name.
Don't be so negative, my dear colleagues.
Bo-Yang bent down his head to his own theatrical words and rose his arms up high before he declared,
Today, we have reached milestones in the development of the Atham utilization. No matter if it ever becomes a problem, we will be strong enough to deal with any problem by the time this arrival could do us any harm.
Oh, he will, believe me.
Herma didn't even try to show any respect to the other alchemists, openly acting as if they were morons compared to her intellect.
Excuse me?
Summoning every ounce of courage, Rhy Shen rose abruptly.
I demand to know what is happening to me. Where am I? What year is it? Where are the Grandmasters? Is Mio still alive? I have a right to know before you get to talk shit about me.
Boy, I'll tell you everything you want. Just for heaven's sake, take a sheet. And do not break anything.
Thos slapped the back of his left hand over his eyes and fumbled wildly through the cluttered shelves, finally yanking a lab smock off the metal rack and shoving it toward him. In order to take the cloak, Rhy Shen finally loosened the grip of his fingers. A glowing lump slipped from his hand and hit the floor. Its light faintly rippling through the smoke in trembling shades of gold.
I can't even! Did our arrival just lay an egg? I told you that he is bird-like.
While the others were still cringing, Thos's eyes sharpened.
Interesting.
He clutched the glowing orb before anyone could give too much thought to the moment's significance.
That should answer the question if this boy has any value to us.
In the same elegant movement, Thos closed the distance to Rhy Shen, letting his hand glide through the spectral face in front of him with an unsettling fascination while he spoke.
I get it. You want answers. That is only reasonable. Listen. All we can tell you for now, boy, is this. Nothing from your prior life still matters.
Rhy Shen's face hardened, though he knew the man was absolutely right. Whatever had happened to Meo and the others was not for him to know. Ever. Perhaps this uncertainty was still part of the punishment he so thoroughly deserved.
My dear colleagues, this specimen from the sphere is coming with me. I need to conduct a series of experiments to assess his physical state and determine the extent of his vitality.
Though his tone was gentle, yet carried the certainty of command. He let Rhy Shen's puzzled face come into focus and stared straight into his jade-green eyes.
I'll make you my protégé. What do you think of that? I have a few other scholars, you know. They are just very, very different from you.
Rhy Shen's spectral form hovered, still, as something deep inside him stirred.
Do not be anxious, ghostly boy. I am confident we can identify some practical applications for an entity like you, even if you are incapable of producing any Atham.
What? Why should I follow you? I don't trust you one damn bit. In fact, you are all completely untrustworthy, waking me up in this shady cellar that could be anywhere in the White Kingdom. And you haven't answered any of my goddamn questions.
Rhy Shen swung his elbows to push Thos, only to feel the alchemist's form melt away through him. soft and insubstantial as drifting snow.
Noted. Aggression persists, despite total lack of effect. Remarkably primitive.
Yesod tugged the collar of his long apron up and drew his shoulders in, bracing himself. He didn't even make an effort to speak to Rhy Shen. Instead, he turned to his colleague.
Very well, Thos. That is enough. You may take him, but you will assume full responsibility before the lead alchemist for any consequences. We cannot even confirm whether this specimen could be utilized to power our machinery, assuming we can even kill it. Proceed with your investigation. Find out, and quickly, if a method exists for utilization, termination, or both. Report back immediately with any findings. Is that clear?
Those three colleagues stood shoulder to shoulder, isolating him as the sole target of blame for Bo Yang's reckless decision to open the sphere before the reactor was fully charged.
The Juru people won't be pleased if they find out where the ghostly entity came from. In fact, no one will. Some things must remain secret. None of us knows this better than you, Thos.
Thos laughed with a slight bitterness in his voice and waved the concerns off with his hand. He nodded to Rhy Shen, giving him no other option but to follow him. Rhy Shen hesitated, but staying in this cellar with three murderous scientists didn't seem like the wisest option. So he followed the alchemist in the long white apron, feeling the weight of resistance deep in his bones. Behind them, Bo Yang's mad eye never left the boy until they went out of sight. And above it all, the machines pulsed, alive and hungry, already sensing the storm this ghostly boy had carried into their midst. On their way through the winding corridors of the Alchemist Guild, Rhy Shen couldn't help but imagine what greatness might lie beyond the endless stairways in the dark. But his hopes were cut short almost at once. Alchemist Thos led him downward instead, with cold bronze railings beneath his hand sinking into the building's mechanical depths. Rhy Shen's chest tightened.
Wait, we're going down?
Exactly. We don't want you to accidentally slip away, you know?
Thos knocked against the corridor walls as he steps down the winding stairway.
Obviously, the concrete of the earth is too dense to swallow you. We want to keep it that way. Now, let me show you something nice.
He clapped his hands twice, and a hidden mechanism sprang to life, flooding the high-walled stairway with golden light. Brass inlays gleamed along the polished walls, reflecting the glow and casting sharp geometric patterns across the opposite surfaces.
Impressive, isn't it? You like the interior? I think you cannot achieve the extraordinary in an ordinary environment. All this has been built in just 6 years. Can you believe that? The modern Aethum fusion makes things like this possible. Amazing, isn't it?
Rhy Shen's eyes lingered on the intricate, artful ceiling as he descended the stairway, yet Thos could sense the restraint behind his gaze. In his former life, gold had been a chain. Profit never came without cost. He wondered what kind of imbalance had given rise to such dazzling beauty.
What is this Aethum fusion? Are you still cultivating chi in this world?
Even if this world was entirely different from his reality, the same rules of physics should still apply. At least, that's what Rhy Shen told himself.
Those are two very different questions about very different things, Ghost Boy. You will never understand anything if you keep being so diffuse. But you do have a good sense for the forces that drive the universe. Indeed, Aethum fusion is a form of extracting and storing energy. much like all this savage meditation, hocus-pocus, if you will. Turns out it's less ravenous. I'd even call atom fusion the altruistic form of energy cultivation.
The halls grew narrower, the air heavier. Dormitories passed by, then more labs, each door whispering of experiments long forgotten or still humming with strange energy.
Ah, yes. Here we are. One heartbeat, if you please.
Only when Thos pushed open a heavy door at the corridor's end did light spill in. Real, blinding light that forced Rhy Shen to shield his eyes.
What the hell is this?
The sunlight poured through the immense trapezoid windows, painting the hall in shifting hues of gold and green. Beyond the prism windows, the Argo Sea roared, its vast waves rising higher than mountains, their white crests like rows of teeth stretching endlessly to the horizon. Rhy Shen stepped closer, his eyes widening as the spray shimmered like liquid emerald below.
I have never seen any ocean,
he whispered softly, almost afraid to break the silence. The only water Rhy Shen had ever known was the riverbed where he'd trained his whole life for. Nothing, apparently. Thos stood beside him, arms crossed, a trace of pride glinting behind the reflection of his glasses.
It's not just an ocean. It is the Argo Sea. We are lucky to see it in its full glory tonight. Ah, beautiful, isn't it? Let me enlighten you, ghostly boy. The planet was originally named after this natural force, you know? Our estimates suggest that in this particular state of the sea, 99% of the planet's surface is covered by it.
Rhy Shen watched the rolling waves under a green moon, light glinting in his eyes. Even if he was left for millions of years within the ether, this was not his home. It was a brand new place to discover, with its own rules, and somehow he was relieved by that realization. Thos nodded, as if sensing the thought. He paused, his mind running through possibilities, with his eyes open, yet distant, almost asleep.
Show me your hands, now.
He blurred through Rhy Shen's ghostly hands, his motion twisting them like smoke in the air, unnerving him. It didn't take long for Rhy Shen to snap.
Why do you keep doing that? This is not quite pleasant for me, old man. Do you think I'm dead?
I'm not sure,
he answered mid-motion, his hands still blurring through Rhy Shen's form like vapor.
There has to be a better explanation than demonic hocus-pocus. Hold still.
Rhy Shen obeyed, holding out his hands. Thos proceeded his experiment. He fished a small bottle from his pocket and let it drop into Rhy Shen's palms.
No interaction with dense physical matter. Just as I expected.
His voice was calm, precise, with a faint edge of satisfaction.
Very interesting. Your shoulders are barely dense enough to hold the lab apron you're wearing. If you concentrate hard enough, you'll maybe able to turn the page of a book or lift a chicken feather. Not suitable for any atom looting activity. Now let me try something else before we give up.
With pointed intent, Thos retrieved the glowing orb Rhy Shen had lost in the sphere lab. He held it above Rhy Shen's hands for a second, watching the reflection of the trembling light in his specimen's eyes, before letting it fall.
Wow! Did you see that? You caught it!
Thos's eyes gleamed behind his glasses.
Now, perhaps we just need to adjust the focus a little.
He focused on the mysterious orb, almost licking it with his tongue out of curiosity.
What even is this glowy thing, boy? Where did you get something like that?
Rhy Shen didn't dare speak of the glowing piece of divine dung his people had flung at him when they cast him out. Still, a nagging suspicion lingered in Thos.
I don't care if you tell me. I'll find out anyway. Your chamber's over there, left door. Eat and sleep if you need, and do not touch the cauldron upstairs.
His eyes lingered on the green sea, black towers rising like obsidian teeth from the far-off waves.
I will give you one advice, and only one, so listen closely. This is what the lead alchemist calls World Zero. We know it as Ago. The Juru have several other words for it. You are standing on the beautiful peninsula of Teal. But one thing is clear. This is not where you came from. So, adapt and be quiet for now. This is your new chance to make something of yourself. Will you take it? Or will you remain standing there, complaining about everything? We'll talk tomorrow, ghostly boy.
With a friendly expression, the alchemist turned around and went towards the door they came from.
Wait, you old fuck! What do I do now? Don't you want to explain to me where we are? What is this guild? What are you researching here?
Such insolence. And here I thought you were curious, not rude.
Slowly but surely Thos lost his temper. He spun around, raising his hand. In the center of his palm, a bright red stone glowed, set into an intricate piece of jewelry that seemed to fuse with his skin, as if the gem powered some hidden mechanism.
Ah!
The blow of energy that emerged from Thos's hand was so strong that Rhy Shen's body vanished into dust for a moment, before regaining itself in its ghostly form. Behind him, the collapsing bookshelves erupted in a storm of dust.
I said, we'll talk tomorrow. First lesson for you, arrival. Learn to follow orders. Stop acting like you can tell right from wrong. Ha! You're as judgmental as death. But the way I see it, you're only right about one thing so far. You don't know a particle of truth about this world. You get me?
Suddenly, the stark feeling that he had known nothing in his past life either weighed down on Rhy Shen like a stone upon his chest. He realized the weight of not knowing would lay around his neck for life, bearing the question of whether his mistakes and sacrifices had truly mattered.
That's not fair. I'm only asking questions here.
Yes, that will become a problem. For now, please accept this small gift bestowed upon us by the modern world, a pastime universally enjoyed.
He reached into his pocket, pulled out a hand-sized, shiny object, and held it like an open book.
The Ishi Mirror is a great device against boredom. I bet you'll find out by yourself how it works. Now rest and wait. And don't touch anything.
Thos left the room, the glowing orb clasped in his hands. Rhy Shen remained alone, staggering under a wave of disbelief, his mind twisting around the rural world outside, this labyrinthine building, the goddamned mirror he just received, and his reflection in it, still boyish, but already crinkled and, oh, so tired. Sleep had turned its back on the one they called Ghostboy. Rhy Shen sat in silence in front of the round mirror Thos gave him as a pastime. He couldn't stand looking at his own reflection, so he leaned back and watched the rocky ceiling through the surface.
The alchemists were right. I am even more useless in this life than in the previous one. The first thing they wanted to know was if I was able to fight. If I can't even touch a thing or hold a sword, my fate here will be no different from the last hell I've already lived through.
He centered all his attention on the mirror, stretching his fingers toward it, brushing against a weight that seemed almost real. A curious warmth pulsed through him, and for a heartbeat, it felt as though he might succeed. But then the reflection of the mirror blurred. The image shifted suddenly, pulling his attention away.
What the hell is this supposed to be?
The glow of an entirely different world seized him, and his concentration snapped. Could it be that Rhy Shen was losing touch, not only to matter but to reality itself? Whatever it was, the mirror refused to move under his touch. His fingers slipped through the shiny material on the table.
I can't even keep my vision right. Something is entirely wrong with me.
Frustration flared as he sank back, realizing he still lacked the connection to his own body, trapped between worlds. Rhy Shen's gaze drifted upward, following the sunlight reflected from the mirror on the table. The upper gallery glowed in streaks of orange and green, almost empty, save for a simmering cauldron at its center. The gallery at the main floor where Rhy Shen stood was crowded with books, papers, and odd cast bronze statues, perhaps Tho's own handiwork. Several wooden doors were carved into the bookshelves, one of them standing open. Beyond it lay Rhy Shen's chamber, with a simple cot and an old red carpet, quiet and still.
Fine, let's call it a day. I'll rest, just as Tho said, and we'll see what tomorrow brings. This damn mirror thing is utter bullshit anyway.
I knew you wouldn't have the patience to understand your little mirror gift from Thos. You are very impatient, kid.
From the farthest depths of his skull, a voice suddenly whispered into Rhy Shen's mind. He whirled around, prepared to strike.
What? Who is this? Is someone in this room?
He scanned the room once more. Apart from the big, burning furnace upstairs, the hall lay completely empty.
Ha! I swear, never in all my long, eventful life have I seen a whiny, useless, pale white fish face like yours. And well, your intellect perfectly matches the impression. Rhy Shen.
Rhy Shen returned to the door to take another look at the chamber.
Hello? Someone here?
The great hall took on a bluish-grey hue, with only the Ishi mirror on the table and the cauldron in the upper gallery emitting warmth and light.
Old man Toss, is this you? Maybe it was stupid to trust him.
Oh, I promise you, Thos, and everyone in this fancy new residence of yours is so beneath me. However, that's what I meant in the first place. Questions, questions. You are questioning everything, even yourself, don't you? How about going with the flow? That's not something you do, I suppose, you dumb fish.
Rhy Shen was urged to ask the next important question.
Is this a fucking joke again?
It felt like it cost him the last bit of his mind to swallow it in anger. No soul was in sight. Only the green light of the moon, sinking beyond the horizon, danced along the bare walls.
Ha ha. You are, in fact, even more stupid than you look. What a disheartening realization for me. I see. This is not going to be easy.
Who are you?
The voice ignored his question deliberately.
If I were told to spend time with a secret mirror, just like you actually do, coincidentally. If I was in your particular situation, I'd probably take a proper look at this mysterious item. Unlike your completely lackluster, hopelessly clueless attempt, you absolute fool.
Still not knowing where the voice came from, Rhy Shen just rolled his eyes upwards to give an answer.
I tried to get in touch with the material and pick it up, so leave me be.
Ha! There's your next problem. You have to focus on things before you connect. Is that so hard to get with logical thinking alone? You really needed a secret voice in your ear to understand that.
So you're the buggy thing in my ear?
As the realization struck, Rhy Shen tried to reach the speech bug in his ear to rip it out.
Of course not, dumb fish. The audacity to compare me with an eloquent insect. Ha! I am using your speech bug to speak to you. That's what it is for, you see? One of us two should stop debating and start watching the stupid mirror.
Driven by curiosity, Rhy Shen returned to the table where the Ishi Mirror lay, still facing upwards. He leaned closer, eyes narrowing, and peered into its surface. At first, he saw absolutely nothing.
Looks familiar.
The reflection wavered again, but this time Rhy Shen didn't let his consciousness drift back to the physical world.
You've got to be kidding me.
He saw it with his own eyes. The mirror now framed a cozy, old-fashioned bar, instead of the darkened lab ceiling. The perspective was strange, yet intimate. He saw it through the eyes of the bartender. Warm amber light spilled across rough wooden counters, the hiss of a kettle mingling with the soft murmur of conversation. Hands moved, ladling soup into bowls and sliding clay mugs across the bar to friendly faces. Patrons laughed easily, leaning into one another's stories. Their smiles were wide and unguarded. The simple comfort of it, the gentle rhythm of shared moments, filled Rhy Shen with a warmth he hadn't realized he'd missed. It woke his urge to belong, far more than the geometrically precise, overly polished style of his home, or the over-decorated guild Foss and his alchemist friends had built for themselves.
As it happens, I was the one who created this specific Ishi Mirror. But don't you dare saying a word about that in front of Thos. This model is called the Beholder, so don't hesitate to scream at the drunken ducks in the mirror. They can't hear you. Most of them are dead today anyway.
So, does the bartender know he's being watched?
Naturally not, you foolish simpleton. As the product name implies, the Beholder is built as a one-way mirror, designed to jump to a single, explicit point in time and space. If it gives you any peace of mind, know that the event you've just witnessed happened long ago. Though it happens to involve someone I coincidentally know myself. Haha.
Rhy Shen focused back on the lab, with the Argo Sea still dancing behind the artfully designed window sight. He checked the surrounding bookshelves once more, before the voice interrupted him again.
Searching for me, are you? Not a scrap of sense in that head of yours, is there? I could be here, or there, or anywhere.
Rhy Shen instinctively whirled around. The voice echoed in his head, intrusive and sharp.
I did not allow this observation by others, and neither did the bartender.
Oh, he did actually. He is still one of my protégés, you see. But then, I suppose you've already drawn your little conclusions. How delightfully predictable.
It dawned on Rhy Shen that the voice must have a mirrored source somewhere, and that this jerk had managed to convert it into a one-way directive line connected to his speech bug.
Let me guess. This alchemist, though, doesn't know anything about our little connection, right? Otherwise, you would have talked much earlier.
Screw those mentally retarded alchemists. They worship their speedy machines like the Juru worship the gods in their cute little stories. There are far more important things in the world than wealth, don't you think? But as it happens, we're still on the same side. How lucky for you, that you found someone to answer your questions. Someone to help you smooth things over with the alchemists. They are not easy to work with, you see. And the other factions on this contemptible peninsula? Even worse. Truly dreadful discussion partners.
That would make 2 new masters in a single day for Rhy Shen. Perhaps there really was a way to shed light on whatever this life was trying to hand him.
You can call me M, or M, or whatever you like. Just don't say a word to that pathetic Thos, all right? Are we on the same page here, Rhy Shen?
Was there really any other choice? The more Rhy Shen understood about this world, the more his path seemed to unfold. If he followed it straight, enduring every pain that came his way, perhaps this relentless, shitty feeling of being a worthless piece of garbage might finally begin to fade.
The cauldron on the gallery is interesting, don't you think? Maybe there's something to be found, maybe not. I, for one, definitely won't be going up there.
Taking the hint, Rhy Shen didn't bother with the ladder. Instead, he scrambled over the shelves as if they were made of sand, moving with surprising ease toward the cauldron. Before coming too close, he stopped, arms crossed, half expecting that this mysterious voice might seize control of his body through whatever mirror thing it possessed.
Is this a test, you smartass? I see through your manipulative tone.
Oh, good for you.
The man in Rhy Shen's head chuckled and audibly sipped from a cup at the other end of their telepathic connection.
So, to be more direct, your first assignment is to go into the fire.
Into the what?
Rhy Shen's dark eyebrows rippled. He heard the words, but they did not make any sense to him.
You mean, take something out of the cauldron?
No, I would have said that if I meant that. Were you raised by ducks? You go through the venting window into the Ishi oven. You'll see. It won't do anything. Just a light brush on the skin. Nothing more. Your coat will catch fire, yes, but honestly, it makes you look even more deplorable. As long as you don't stand in flames, which is without exception very fancy, even on a fool like you. Can you hear the fire crackling? Do what you do best. Think about something else. Nothing will happen to you, I promise.
Trusting people had never ended well for Rhy Shen, and anyone who had ever called him a friend had come to deeply regret it. But there was a spark in that fire, something that leapt into his hollow core, igniting a pulse. And he followed it. The Tale of Rhy Shen, Chapter 3, Reflections. The cauldron in Thos's lab whistled, as if seized by a fever of excitement. This voice, calling itself M, was certainly not to be trusted, and yet something deep in Rhy Shen's chest pulled him irresistibly toward the chaotic flames, just as M had suggested. Without hesitation, he plunged headfirst into the huge furnace. His borrowed apron disintegrated instantly, pulverized to dust by the heat and brilliance surrounding him. Flames roared and twisted, licking his skin yet leaving him unharmed.
Brah! This is incredible!
The air shimmered with heat, bending reality around him. A low, vibrating hum pulsed through the chamber, while the flames twisted and writhed, girdling him like living metal.
I have never felt so alive.
Raw energy coursed through his veins, igniting and warming something that had been entirely cold before. But, again, it didn't take long before the mysterious voice of M completely disenchanted the moment.
What an incredibly foolish thing to say. How long have you lived exactly? You don't look older than 16. 16 is a very pathetic age to say things like that.
How did you know this would even work?
Rhy Shen flicked at tiny particles of black ash clinging to his skin, amazed by a shower of sparks around him.
Well. I had no clue if it would work. First time trying it here.
What?
Grrr. Hearing this, Rhy Shen's eyes flared, and the flames around him rose in kind. A dark tint bled into their glow, as if his fury had poisoned the light.
Are you fucking kidding me, M? I could have instantly died, you ass-fried, shit-sodden, goddamn...
Excuse me? I think the speech bug just burned out. I cannot hear you.
Unfucking believable.
You are the most unhinged little smug I've met in a long while, ghostboy Rhy Shen. Didn't you dive into the cauldron head first all on your own? Since you're obviously still alive and kicking, let's put that recklessness to good use, Look around. You should see some Ishi mirrors in the making in there.
Indeed, the inside of the oven was lined with 9 round pedestals, each crowned with a molten drop of reflective silver. In their shifting surfaces flickered fragments of other lives, fleeting visions of vast landscapes, walls of steel, blood, and calloused hands at work. Rhy Shen leaned closer and wondered in silence.
Wow. Funny how creatures on every star have always lived the same lives, just painted in different colors.
Well, I'll just ignore your bottomless exaggeration there. You are still new to sphere technology after all.
So you do still hear me, you fucking comedian.
Well, yes, maybe. So look, these Ishi mirrors are but humble echoes of the one at the table you so boldly spied upon. Their reach through space and time is weak, limited to the immediate neighborhood. Garbage, if you ask me. But, in a delightful twist, we actually have a use for this cheap-ass kind of Ishi mirror in our first little experiment. All you need to do is place a single hair into one of the molten drops. It shall bind the mirror instantly to something entangled deeply with your soul, which makes distance and time irrelevant.
So you think I can peek into my old life?
Those words rang like a promise to Rhy Shen. Since his arrival in this world, his thoughts had been consumed by the fate of his people. Perhaps M's experiment might finally reveal some clue of their whereabouts. Unfortunately, he didn't even see the true answer slipping past him, swallowed by the frenzy of his own thoughts.
And you didn't tell the alchemists I met earlier anything about this?
The poor deluded alchemists. They do not believe in this field of science. And so, they will fumble endlessly with these randomly focused Ishi mirrors, utterly useless in their hands. What exquisite irony! After all these years of labor, there are still forces of nature they cannot even begin to understand.
Rhy Shen's eyes flicked from mirror to mirror as he plucked a single black strand from his messy hair, just as M had instructed. He chose the mirror at the center, watching a figure light candles in a hall awash with light, and let his unflammable hair fall into it. The reflection in the mirror shifted instantly. Rhy Shen's hope to see Mio's face, his homeworld, and the people he had failed so utterly, nearly blinded him to what was actually there.
So, what do you see?
M's impatience was clear in every word.
Nothing. There is nothing.
In truth, it was less than nothing. Staring into the altered Ishi Mirror felt like being stripped of perception at that very spot. After all, that was Rhy Shen's closure. Darkness. No hope, no mystery, no glory, no ending at all.
Nothing indeed. A disappointing void is all I can see from my vantage as well. It is remarkable, truly, how incredibly empty you are, kid.
Rhy Shen said nothing, letting M's words gnaw at him from the inside.
What binds you so tightly to the void? It seems like darkness courses through you to your very core. Perhaps this explains why the laughably weak sphere, which Bo Yang opened, produced you, instead of a full entity from a vibrant world.
From his vantage point beyond his own Ishi Mirror, M could not perceive the subtle change in the cauldron. The flames around Rhy Shen darkened and cooled, as if drawing the heat from the white flames that danced around him.
But I clearly remember my people. Mio.
Do you remember their faces, or just a feeling? The mind can be tricky, you know.
Frustrated, Rhy tried stepping back to leave the inside of the cauldron. But something was wrong.
What the?
Oof.
The metal wall wouldn't yield. His muscles coiled, eyes widening.
M, something's wrong. I can't get out.
The oven grid crackled with energy, ensnaring him in a lattice of molten metal and heat. Breathing hard, Rhy Shen gathered himself and focused on his surroundings, every nerve alight.
I don't know, kid. Well, at least you won't die in there, However, if you're still trapped when Thos arrives, we're in real trouble. If brute force fails, I'd try something weaker if I was you. Maybe the same way you came in, you panic-stricken, headless little chicken.
Rhy Shen glared at the air grid, fury burning in his eyes. This ominous M had a point there. Swallowing his pride, he focused on the grilled barrier and slipped into a wall of cold air. Sparks trailed behind him as he emerged into the lab, sooted in black, shallow on the inside, but alive. By now, the sun had fully risen outside the lab window, already slipping beyond view. Rhy Shen drew in the cool air, but his attention was caught by the subtle shift in the room's colors. The dancing greens and golds of the Ego Sea were gone. In their place, a warm red bled through the windows, bathing the lab in a quiet, almost threatening glow. The sight that met him next would mark him in ways he could not yet understand.
What the hell?
Outside the lab window, the Ego Sea had given way to another marvel of this world. Gone were the rolling green waves and whirling streams. Instead, hills stretched endlessly, swathed in a sea of vermilion blossoms that seemed to tremble in the light. Flocks of birds drifted across the sky like living clouds, their shadows sliding silently over the glowing landscape. The brilliance of the landscape seared Rhy Shen's vision. Familiar, yet impossible. Beautiful and strange.
Enjoying the view, eh? Don't get too comfortable. Arrival. Huh?
With his heart hammering, Rhy Shen spun around, shaking the ash free from his eyes. A young man with cloudy, bright hair and thick eyebrows stood in the doorway of the lab, his eyes calculating, his stance taut in a military stiffness. No smile. This guy wasn't here to charm.
You don't belong here. And judging by that look, I suppose you know that too.
Before Rhy Shen could answer, M baffled his big mouth with a sincere warning.
Whatever you do, kid, don't tell him anything you couldn't have found out on your own. This lad may look like a clown, but under that redundantly shapeful hair hides the mind of a sneaky, clever bastard. Don't mess with Immo, idiot or not.
Apparently, this Immo had no time to waste. He closed the distance with the seriousness of an old general and began brushing ash from Rhy Shen's shoulders and hair. Rhy Shen jerked away in disgust.
What the fuck do you think you're doing, man? Don't test me, Arrival. You're expected in the arena, and I'll not have you show up in a state that might raise questions from Thos or Herma. That's in both of our best interests. So get clean.
Rhy Shen followed the order with dissatisfaction. He would have preferred thinking about this himself. This Immo guy was a pest already.
You're odd to take me to an arena? How big is this building? Oh, I will lose my last nerve if every future arrival is going to be annoying like you, dirtbag. How do you think this building was made, eh? All these machines won't wheel themselves, plain and simple. Pfft, I don't get it. There is clearly not one drop of vivid atham in your soul. Nevertheless, they want you up there. I'll eat a chair if they can squeeze anything useful out of you. Take the elevator when you're done cleaning yourself. What elevator? I don't see one. You're such a turd.
A flat insult was all Immo could manage for Rhy Shen before he turned to the lab door and vanished as explosively as he had appeared. Moments later, a mechanical dragging stirred somewhere nearby.
Huh. Do you know what he was talking about, M?
He could almost hear M grinning behind his Ishi Mirror, somewhere at the far end of the world.
Well, well, you know what an elevator is, right? It elevates things upwards. If there only was any way to find out where an elevator goes,
Fine, I understand. I'll take the goddamn elevator. What the?
Easier said than done. Rhy Shen nearly broke himself while trying to force the door open that Immo had slammed shut without a second thought. He pushed until his vision dimmed, too dense to phase through the matter, too weak to apply the pressure it demanded.
Finally. Such a shitty door.
Maybe you're just shitty in handling doors, kid.
It didn't take long for Rhy Shen to find the lift in the maze of stairways and locked doors outside the lab, although M complained about his incompetence without a pause. The elevator shuddered as it began its ascent. A pressured stream indicated the following motion of the cabin that offered only one destination, on floor 6. Beyond the shaft, the cavernous rock groaned with the clatter of construction. Hammers striking stone, drills whining, and chains rattling. Then, with a hiss and a grinding halt, the elevator stopped. A sudden silence pressed against the metal walls, heavy and expectant. Rhy Shen's senses flared. Through the milky glass of the elevator doors, only blurred silhouettes flickered, but the rhythm was alarming. Too fast, too brutal for any ordinary training match. A sharp, nerve-rattling sound cut through the mechanical hum. It was the voice of a woman, struggling and raw. Rhy Shen's pupils widened, and a shiver ran up the nape of his neck, every instinct screaming danger.
Something is going on there. Grah! How do I open these stupid elevator doors, Em?
M's mocking laughter vibrated within Rhy Shen's ear.
This is too delightful to watch. I won't guide you this time.
Grr! Okay, then!
Like a wasp trapped under glass, Rhy Shen slammed into the doors. The brass-framed glass cracked and wobbled under his pure rage, but the door stayed intact.
What a lucky bugger you are. Seems like no one noticed your little outburst, kid.
Unimpressed by his own performance, Rhy Shen tried to squeeze his entire body through the glass.
Impressive effort for someone who looks like soup steam. I wasn't convinced you'd even handle the elevator button. That's how normal people would try to open those doors, by the way. But sure, me, almost killing yourself works too,
With the absurd stubbornness of someone tackling the impossible, Rhy Shen pressed on. Somehow, despite the pain, he managed to get his face through, but no further. He summoned the last of his strength just to lift his eyes in that surreal posture. Lo and behold, the next marvel of this world reared itself up before him. The shadowy arena ahead was enormous. Its round walls were rising tier upon tier of ornate balconies, each lined with brass rails in symmetrical shapes. It felt more like a temple than a training ground to Rhy Shen. The hall seemed almost empty. Down in the pit, Immo, the bright-haired scholar from earlier, had just taken a brutal hit. A swift, merciless kick landed squarely on Immo's face, sending him staggering backward as the concentrated wind around him dissipated in a sharp gust. Recovering instantly, Immo swung his arm, summoning a powerful blast of wind that almost knocked his opponent off balance. But the girl that beat him up was quick.
Take this!
Twisting with the precision of a predator, the combatant countered with her massive double-headed battle axe, striking him with force enough to split his skull. Rum. Rhy Shen understood at last. This woman wasn't prey in need of saving.
Ouch!
She was the danger. To Rhy Shen's utter surprise, Immo wasn't split in two. He turned just in time, letting the broadsword on his back take the worst of the blow, but the force still slammed him against the ground. When he rose back up, blood spilled from his mouth, yet he still didn't draw the sword.
Was that not enough? Ha! Watch closely, Immo. This is what it costs to underestimate me.
There was no chance of Immo surviving the furious strike. Rhy Shen was sure of that. His chest tightened as he watched the weapon arc toward Immo, and a surge of panic clawed at him.
This lunatic girl is out of control. I've seen enough. That guy Immo introduced himself like an asshole, plain and simple. But I won't let her smash this jerk.
Before Rhy Shen could embarrass himself completely, M tried to rein in his boisterous temper.
Ghostboy, Rhy Shen. Think for one hell-forsaken second in your life. You don't even have a physical body to protect Immo. This isn't just reckless, it's insane.
Rhy Shen did not care. With all the subtlety of a rhinoceros, he finally slammed through the elevator doors and burst into the arena.
Stop! What in the shitholed hell do you think you're...
What?
More than 20 scholars in training suits were lined up on both sides of the arena. something Rhy Shen hadn't glimpsed from the elevator. Every eye burned into him, some cold, some smirking, all judging. Rhy Shen's stomach knotted. The fight froze in mid-chaos. The girl's axe stalled in its swing. The wind from Immo's counterstrike hung in the air as both combatants whirled to face the hulking maniac crashing into the hall. Rhy Shen again.
Oh, kid. So valiant, so committed. Storming doors as if they'd insulted your honor. How did you even pull that off with your mushy face, Immo surely won't appreciate your interpretation of architecture. He's oddly attached to functional entrances.
M nailed it. The scholar named Immo Silvus Keller could hardly process the reckless audacity of this chaotic, door-crashing newcomer Thos had assigned to his supervision. He knew the alchemists had spent ages trying to summon someone from another world through the sphere. And here it was, a door-obsessing, pale-faced, unrestrained chaos-bringer.
Bravo.
This is a controlled test, Arrival. You have no right to interrupt a discipline you clearly don't understand.
Confused and embarrassed, Rhy Shen immediately defended his unhinged behavior.
Controlled? You call this embarrassing defeat of yours controlled? This girl was about to smash you.
Smash me? Ha! Discipline, Arrival. There is a method here, a procedure. You are ruining everything. You seriously need to get your temper in check, turd.
That was enough. Rhy Shen lunged forward, every ounce of his fury packed into his fists.
Grr. Oh, not again.
The strike passed through Immo's physical form like a punch thrown at smoke.
Ha!
Just like all the following swings. Immo stood still, smirking at him with contempt.
Ha ha, turd.
If I were you, I'd check my chicken-ass hair before I judge about others.
At least this insult wiped the smug grin off Immo's face. His patience evaporated, and he hurled himself at Rhy Shen's hazy outline, as though he were taking on a raging storm.
Feel that.
Ah!
What?
Immo couldn't land a single hit either. For the first time since his arrival, Rhy Shen felt the cruel limitations of this half-existence. He could see, hear, even think, but he could not do the one thing that truly mattered. Land a few proper smacks on someone when they damn well deserved it.
Enough!
Amidst the flailing limbs and wild wrestling of empty air, the commanding voice of Alchemist Thos ripped through the chaos. The scholars froze mid-breath, the wind from Immo's weapon stilled, and even Lumen's glowing axe flickered in hesitation.
Ghostly boy Rhy Shen, stay where you are.
In the blink of an eye, Thos stood before Rhy Shen, his expression cold and unyielding.
This is not a playground for tantrums, nor a duel to be interrupted by whatever you think you are doing. So, I came here because you might be interested in your current condition. Be that as it may, watching you try to fit into the real world is almost laughable.
A hush fell over the arena. Scholars stifled giggles, some of them were biting their lips to keep themselves from laughing outright. Keeping the serious tone unbroken, Thos plunged his hand into the folds of his leather apron and drew out a rough stone, its surface throbbing with an eerie orange light that Rhy Shen recognized at once.
You remember the little thing you brought along from the sphere? Examining it was enlightening.
He jabbed a finger at Rhy Shen's precious little relic from his past life.
This goddamn fossiled orb of yours. This is dung. Petrified, ancient, divine. I can clearly see that once it was brimming with energy. And yet, it's shit, basically. Ha! Where did you even find this? It could predate our sun.
Fozz's eyes narrowed as he studied the pale boy, stuttering.
I think it's something from my home, from where I was before I came here.
Ha ha! Yeah, let's talk about that for a second. If the sphere had worked like it was supposed to, we'd have gotten a version of this filthy little thing. And you, bubbling over with Aetham energy for us to harvest. But instead, you and this piece of dung. Bruh. Useless.
Thos muttered the words heavy with finality.
I cannot make use of you. You are thoroughly incompatible with the Atham of this world. Pathetic input.
He smashed the glowing orb on the ground, imprinting the round shape into the floor. The ring of scholars recoiled as the orb struck the ground, some from fear of Thos, others from the alien creature the alchemists had dragged into this world. Rhy Shen's shoulders tensed. From the corner of his eye, he saw the girl he had tried to prevent from beating Immo so mercilessly. Unlike the others, there was no scorn or fear in her eyes, only something quieter, something warmer. And then there was the face of arsehole Immo, smirking at the glowing orb, clearly without any clue about the true meaning of this plain object that had brought down an entire world.
Ha 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 ha! Told you so, turd.
That was it, the moment Rhy Shen remembered. If this filthy thing was his only link to the world of matter, the only thing that still answered to his touch.
Immo, watch out!
What the? Ah!
As Rhy Shen had hoped, the orb turned out to be a perfect fit, driving his clenched fist into Immo's face with a satisfyingly solid impact that made it almost musical. Rhy Shen was unleashed.
Ah! Stop it, arrival!
Desperately, Immo tried to defend himself against the heavy blows from the orb, but he couldn't land a single hit on Rhy Shen in return.
Ah! This is ridiculous. Damn! Ah! I'll lose my last fucking nerve.
At last, Immo got hold of the orb. With a furious roar, he slammed it into the ground. The impact broke the massive stone into pieces. When the dust settled, all eyes turned to Rhy Shen in sheer disgust. He heard M's voice echoing through the manipulated speech bug in his ear.
Oh, Rhy Shen. I wouldn't have done that if I were in your position.
Obviously, everyone in the room thought the same. Thos's brows cast a shadow over his eyes as he spoke.
Well, what an impressive display of your qualities, ghostly boy. No scholar below the rank of master could land a strike against protégés like Immo Silvas. Yet you defy the laws of physics in a way I've never seen. Very effective, very underhanded. But your recklessness ends here. Step aside, ghostly boy. You are dismissed.
The scholars exchanged amused whispers, watching the ghost boy and Immo sprawled on the floor like turtles on their backs, both gasping for air. Only Lumen, the girl who had dealt Immo an even harsher beating than Rhy Shen, didn't just stare. She began gathering the broken shards of the orb. Rhy Shen finally forced himself to his feet. ignoring the scornful gazes forming a cruel gauntlet around him, and strode toward the broken elevator, each step a silent defiance against their judgment.
See you tomorrow, Rhy Shen. Training begins at dawn.
Despite the stern gazes of the others, Scholar Lumen remained steady. She sensed that anyone who trained under Teal's two-faced son belonged, no matter what darkness had shaped them. Yet she couldn't help but wonder why connecting with this furious ghost was proving so difficult. The next day brimmed with wonders once again. Rhy Shen awoke from a hazy, restless slumber in his chamber, still buzzing with the sharp thrill of being misunderstood.
I only defended myself.
Kid. Your way of defending looks a lot like war, you see?
As he blinked the last remnants of sleep from his eyes, he could hardly trust what he saw. The world outside was unrecognizable once again. A dry, white desert stretched endlessly, littered only with bones.
Never seen the infinite sands, have you?
M asked with curiosity from his ear.
No rush. The desert will be here for 6 days before the next wave swallows everything. But time sure does fly, doesn't it? You'd better get ready. The alchemists will open the sphere again soon, and when they do, the next scholar they pull out will be far stronger than you.
Rhy Shen stared out over the endless white expanse, squinting against the harsh glare.
How big is it?
He murmured, his voice tinged with awe.
I mean, how big is this world, really?
M chuckled through the speech bug.
One of the riddles the alchemists are desperate to solve. The infinite sands. Too deadly to cross with any known power or vehicle in Teal. That's the dilemma of the people who live at its edges. Fascinating, isn't it?
Rhy Shen gave little more than a nod, his mind already shifting to the next challenge. The elevator hummed beneath him as he ascended toward the arena, the anticipation coiling like fire in his chest. At the arena doors, Lumen waited, Immo by her side, her bright eyes lit up as she spotted him.
Good morning, Rhy Shen? Is that how your name is said? We're happy you came back today.
She nudged Immo, who muttered a grumpy nod in greeting.
My name is Lumen, and this is Immo Silvas Keller. We have something for you. Right, Immo?
Another nudge for Immo Silvas followed.
Yes, we do.
I forged it myself. From the shards you lost yesterday. And Immo here helped me attach a handle using an energy-absorbing spin plant. We're interested in what you can offer the group, and you're welcome. Right, Immo?
Yes, we are.
Immo confirmed, still a little reluctant, but attentive.
Brace yourself, for what you're about to witness is Juru craft at its finest.
Lumen announced with a flourish, spinning on her heel. From her back, she drew a weapon that glowed softly in the arena light.
Ta-da!
A long sledgehammer, delicate and deceptively fragile, as if it wouldn't even crack an egg if wielded properly. Rhy Shen tilted his head, studying it.
It doesn't look very strong,
He admitted, brow furrowed in curiosity.
Well,
Lumen replied with a mischievous grin.
you can't know until you try, my friend.
Immo stepped forward, holding out the weapon. As Rhy Shen reached for it, he pulled it back teasingly.
Careful!
And once more, that was mockery, not company. With a final flick of his wrist, he let Rhy Shen grasp the handle. The instant Rhy Shen's fingers closed around the hammer, a storm ignited behind his eyes. Dark, unyielding, utterly unstoppable. With a single fluid motion, he swung the hammer straight into Immo's smirking face. The impact rattled through the hall, sending Immo flying several body lengths across the floor. Rhy Shen stood over the aftermath, unshaken, every inch the embodiment of raw, commanding power. M couldn't help it. A small, mischievous laughter echoed through Rhy Shen's ear.
Well, that's one way to stand your ground, kid.
Whoever thought being a ghost meant being humble clearly hadn't met Rhy Shen.
Impressive. How much physical force you can funnel into that tiny little hammerhead of yours. I suppose the long handle gave you a bit of extra punch. But there's one thing you didn't consider, you toothpick-swinging fool.
At the far end of the arena, Immo didn't simply rise. He unfolded from the floor with shadowy eyes, surrounded by a halo of dust from his fall. With a precise motion, he wiped the thin stream of blood from his mouth.
I told you so. Don't mess with Immo.